Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. Now, you know that there is two sets of laws in this country. There's the laws for the rich and the connected and the powerful, which means there's no laws. Those people never go to jail ever since Nixon. So they get to do whatever they want, order illegal wars, order illegal war crimes to cover it up, launder hundreds of millions of drug money at a bank. Nobody kick active duty soldiers out of their house so the bank can make a nickel, kick 90-year-old retirees out of their houses illegally, do all this stuff. That's who banks are. That's who banks are. That's the elite. And there's no law for them, right? They can do whatever they want. And then the law for everybody else is that you go to jail right away for whatever you do. And we'll beat you up first. That's how it works. So Wells Fargo, the bank Wells Fargo what they do is they open up fake accounts. So if you're a customer at Wells Fargo, let's say you have a checking account, they'll open up a credit card account in your name, and they won't tell you, and they'll charge you, and they won't tell you. That's what and so why do they do that? Well, they can charge you, they can make money. Plus, the more accounts that open, it looks like their bank is doing more business, so it raises their stock price. So then everybody has a higher stock price, and they get bigger bonuses. So it's all about defrauding their own customers. Turns out, Wells Fargo uncovered up to 1.4 million more fake accounts. This is from August, by the way. So that's when this extra came to light in August. 1.4 million more fake accounts. Wells Fargo has uncovered up to 1.4 million more fake accounts after digging deeper into the bank's broken sales culture. I would say after digging deeper into the bank's criminal sales culture. Not broken. Oh, it broke.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, whoops. See, we didn't catch it. The string snapped.
Yeah.
And that's why we had all those bad accounts. Mm-hmm. It was broken.
Yeah. Yeah, broken is what happened to my phone charger.
Yes.
This is called fraud.
This is called criminal behavior. Criminal behavior. The findings show that Wells Fargo problems are worse than the banks previously admitted to when the scandal began almost a year ago. Really? So they were even lying then. Wasn't that something? Serial criminal liars who serially criminally defraud their own customers to make a buck were lying when they got caught? That's totally plausible and believable and logical. It makes sense. Wells Fargo now says it has found a total of up to 3.5 million potentially fake bank and credit card accounts, up from its earlier tally of approximately 2.1 million. In other words, there are 2/3 more fake accounts than previously realized. And here's the thing that's important to remember. When they defraud 3.5 million of their own customers, defraud them criminally on purpose, guess who goes to jail? Nobody. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to jail. Isn't that something?
Well, I'm really disappointed that all these people at the top lied about how many fake accounts there were. But Joe Biden assured me they're patriots, so we have that.
They are patriots. The additional fake accounts were discovered by a previously announced analysis that went back to January 2009 and that further reviewed the original May 2011 to mid-2015 period. After 190,000 accounts were slapped with unnecessary fees for these accounts, Wells Fargo said that's up from about 190,000 accounts were slapped with unnecessary fees for these accounts. That's up from 130,000 previously. Wells Fargo also discovered a new problem. What, that people are catching on? That the banking system is based on fraud? No, the new problem was that thousands of customers were also enrolled in online bill pay without their authorization. The review found 528,000 potentially unauthorized online bill pay enrollments. Why would anyone ever bank with Wells Fargo? Because we only got 4 or 5 choices, that's why. In late July, Wells Fargo admitted to forcing up to 570,000 borrowers into unneeded insurance. They're one big fraud organization. All the banks are, but especially Wells Fargo right now. Their whole thing is like, how can we think of, what kind of a fraud scheme can we think of? Should we screw over our own customers? That seems like bad business. Let's do it.
I kind of miss the times when banks would be robbed.
Yeah. Remember when people used to rob banks, Steph?
Yeah.
Remember when that used to be it?
That was fun.
Now the banks rob us.
Yeah.
Ha ha. When is Ben Affleck going to make that fucking movie? Did you go make that movie, Ben?
I think it's pronounced Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Why am I angry at Ben Affleck? He's just a guy making movies. Argo still holds up. About 20,000 of those customers may have had their cars repossessed due to the unnecessary insurance costs. So the poorest people in the world they're preying on. People getting their cars repossessed because of their fraud. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to jail. But let me tell you something. You go out and steal one of those bank executives' cars, you're going to jail for a long time. You go down and you steal a watch off the hand of a bank executive, you are going to jail for a long time. You try to defraud the bank, you are going to jail for a long time. The bank defrauds you, it was a broken system. The system was broke. So Elizabeth Warren says the Federal Reserve should remove every Wells Fargo board member who served during the scandal. I don't know what they're waiting for. I'll do you one better, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, are they going to step down from a board? Really?
If somebody in any other profession ran their business on defrauding their own goddamn customers to the tune of 3.5 million of them, you wouldn't ask them to quit. You'd send them to jail. You wouldn't ask them to resign. Oh, you got caught doing a lot of criminal activity at a massive scale. Yeah, I guess you have to go to jail. No, I just have to quit. Oh, okay. Great. It's great to be an American, huh? How about they go to jail? She's calling. So to me, again, this is Elizabeth Warren pretending to want to hold these people accountable. I'm sorry. Again, she's one of the better senators. I'll admit she's one of the better senators. That just shows you how shitty it is to pick. Again, remember, Elizabeth Warren couldn't back Bernie in the primary. Let's remember that. Didn't say a damn thing about DAPL. Let's remember that. She voted for the $700 billion for the military increase. She handed it to Trump. Let's remember who these people are. And now she's angry about this. I guess she is. But she doesn't really have a solution. Them stepping down. So take all the money you defrauded from people and then go spend it. You can go retire. Go have a vacation. Here she is talking to the guy.
How could removal of these board members...
Okay, no. Here is Elizabeth Warren talking to Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen, who is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and she's going to ask her, well, you'll hear.
Not be warranted given the facts that we already know.
She's asking Janet Yellen, how come you haven't removed these people from the board at Wells Fargo with the facts that we already know? And Janet Yellen gives some doublespeak answer. Let's listen.
Say that the behavior we saw was egregious and unacceptable, and it is our job.
How about criminal? How about criminal? They never say criminal.
Yeah.
The behavior we saw was egregious and unacceptable. How about criminal? She won't say it. Because if you say criminal, then you go, well, why? Where's the prosecution? So they won't say it. So she's bold. Again, these are people who are supposed to be serving the public, and you know who they're serving. They're serving the elite 1% of the 1%. That's who they're serving, including Elizabeth Warren right now.
To understand what the root causes were of those failures. And as
we know what the root cause, this isn't a mystery that we need to bring scientists in and take earth samples and wait for the lab results. We know what the problem was.
Yeah, this was planned fraud.
This was plain and simple. Management told their underlings, you go out and sell these accounts. And if you have to open up fraud ones, who cares? We're not going to say anything. If you have to open up fraudulent accounts and defraud our own customers, they didn't know 3.5 million fraudulent accounts were opened. Of course they did.
Yeah, and you prepare for it too. I mean, they had pre-planned answers for when people called in complaining. I mean, this was this was planned, premeditated. Excuse me. This was planned. This was orchestrated. This is not some whoopsies. How did this happen?
Let's see what happened. Let's investigate this and try to figure out where we went wrong. That's what Janet Yellen's. Janet Yellen, tool of the 1%.
Oh, wait a minute. Do you even think she is a 1%er? How much money do you have to make a 1%er? Because I believe her net worth is $13 million.
Oh, but there you go. She looks like she's struggling.
I hope she has health care.
Agreed. We do have the power, if it proves appropriate, to remove directors. A number of actions have already...
So
proves appropriate.
She says if it proves appropriate, we can remove that. It proves appropriate to fucking put him in prison.
That proves appropriate.
Let alone she won't even remove them from the goddamn company. The people who are committing fraud on Americans systematically, they created it, they're doing it. Not only are they not going to jail, she won't even make them lose their fucking job. She's supposed to work for you. She's supposed to be working for you. Who the fuck do you think she's working for?
I wonder if she was like a really, really cool mom. Hey, Mom, I got an F on my report card. Well, if it's deemed appropriate, I might do something about this. All right, cool. See you later.
I'm going to investigate and see how this F came about. And as soon as we get to the bottom of it, if it deems appropriate that it's your fault, then we can take appropriate actions.
Cool. I'm going out with my friends.
Okay, take care, son.
Been taken. We are certainly prepared to take enforcement actions if those prove to be appropriate.
What are you waiting for? What do you mean if they prove? If they prove to be appropriate, what are you waiting for? Nothing. She's not going to do anything. She's lying. Again, that's Janet Yellen lying. If they prove to be appropriate, we've known that they've been opening fraudulent accounts since last year. What do you mean if they prove? You still haven't gotten around to checking? There's only 5 goddamn banks in the country. Are you too busy, Janet? You don't have a deputy who could take care of this? Look into it? Well, if it proves at some point in the future, which I'm not going to say when that is, because it's never.
So I don't understand. I get it, okay? I get the whole idea that it's all corrupt. It's all awful. But if, let's say, you cheated on your income tax,
right?
You know
you're going to jail.
You're going to get fucked.
Yes.
Right? So right now, we like to think that there's regulations in place. So I like to call them protections. But even if these protections are in place, there's no enforcement of it.
No.
And so there's no oversight. And so simply put, Wells Fargo and all the banks are cooking their books.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The LIBOR scandal showed that the price of everything is rigged. Here's some more.
That's what worries me. Time after time, big banks cheat their customers and no actual human beings are held accountable.
Okay, here's your
Instead,
chance.
there's a fine, which ultimately is paid for by shareholders, not by executives, and certainly not by directors of the board. And nothing's going to change at these big banks if that doesn't change. You know how I know that for a fact? Is because in 2011, the Fed fined Wells Fargo $85 million for illegally steering mortgage borrowers into costlier loans.
Again, the banks are just a factory of fraud. They just figure out new ways to defraud people to make money. How many different ways? They defrauded people with insurance. They defrauded people with open and federal bank accounts. They defrauded people. How did she just say they did it?
And the Fed specifically said those illegal practices were...
They steered them into bad mortgages. Like every way you could do fraud in a bank, they're doing it.
It's almost like they're doing money laundering through all these transactions for their profit margin.
Right. Well, HBSC was doing money laundering for drug cartels. That's a different bank. Let's get back to her.
By, quote, incentive compensation and sales quota programs, and the lack of adequate controls to manage the risks resulting from these programs. So the Fed fined Wells in 2011 for failing to manage the risks resulting from bad incentive compensation practices. And what did Wells do? For the next 4 years, immediately after that fine, the board signed off on incentive compensation practices that led to the creation of 2 million fake accounts. Fines are not working with these giant financial institutions.
And so that's why you're going to recommend jail? No. Can you imagine if they put a banker in jail in America? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I bet that'll be the day. I bet you know what? I bet the Cubs will win the World Series when that happens. Oh, wait a minute. That's never happening. The only banker they're going to ever put in jail is a banker if he steals from rich people. These are bankers stealing from poor people and regular people. Not a price to pay. Bernie Madoff stole from rich people. He goes right to the slammer. Everyone else, all the other banks stole from poor people.
Directors who preside over the firing of thousands of employees for creating millions of fake accounts can keep their jobs, then I think every bank director in this country knows that they are bulletproof. And that poses a danger to the rest of us every single day. You have the power to change the culture on Wall Street. I know you care about this issue.
Why do you have to say that? Why do you have to kiss her ass? I know you care. No, she doesn't. If she cared about the issue, Elizabeth, she would be as upset about this as you are. What is she, dumb? What is she, in 4th grade and Janet Yellen doesn't know what's going on? She doesn't know that she should do something about it? She doesn't know that these guys are criminal? What kind of bullshit is that she's saying? Am I overreacting to her saying that? Because I'm fucking sick and tired of this. This bullshit good manners to people who are fucking criminals. I'm fucking sick of it. I know you care. No, she doesn't care, which is why you have to lecture her. She doesn't care.
I hope you will use that power. Thank you.
Really strong stuff there, Elizabeth. Really strong stuff. The way you never mentioned criminal activity, the way you never mentioned prison as a punishment for defrauding Americans, and never ever once brought it up. Really powerful stuff. And then the way you were really nice to Janet at the end, said, I know you care about it. I do care. Okay, I can walk out of my head up because Elizabeth Warren said I care about things. She doesn't give a shit. And it's statements like that that make me think Elizabeth Warren is a pretender. Because if she wasn't pretending, she would be calling for fucking prosecution of these cretins. Am I wrong about that? What?
I think you're right, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. That's all I needed.
I mean, I think, yeah, it is frustrating to see. I mean, the other side of it, like we pointed out in a similar video, I'm glad she's at least saying something. She's doing something. That's a whole lot more than a lot of people. But
Brian, there's no follow through with
there's
her.
no follow through, and I think it goes beyond just her. I mean, I think it's a system that's far beyond her. But it is frustrating to watch in every case.
Yes, and the reason why I'm saying this about Elizabeth Warren is because she is so vocal against the banks in hearings like this, and it's like. It makes me think it's just a show because she never mentions criminal punishment, never mentions prison. She's too nice to Janet Yellen. She doesn't say that you're corrupt. They're all corrupt. They are. They're corrupt. Janet Yellen's sitting there, well, if it proves appropriate.
In the meantime, people are angry at people who need social programs to help them survive.
Right.
And 50% of Americans are struggling. And
bigger than that, Steph.
And they don't. And everybody's worried about bailing out these banks. Let's come together and imprison all the bankers right now because they're cheating Americans on a daily, consistent basis. What are we supposed to do? I think Joe Biden said, we're supposed to get together, people and leaders and workers, and not be so mad at corporations as they're screwing us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the only people that faced any consequences, well, other than the customers that got screwed over, but the only people that faced any consequences because of this were hourly employees. that were being
Yes.
over
manipulated
5,000
by
of
people
them
more powerful.
fired.
5,000 of those hourly employees lost their jobs. The bank directors didn't even lose their jobs.
And so can they even get unemployment when they're fired?
I don't know. I don't think so if you get fired. So there you go. So I would implore Elizabeth Warren the next time she's in front of a bank CEO or the Fed director, chairman, to maybe encourage some criminal prosecutions. Encourage that. Real consequences. You know, like if a regular person defrauded, like if a regular person stole from a bank, yeah, treat the bank like you would treat that regular person who stole from a bank. Oh, the good old days when people used to steal from banks. Portland, Oregon, the Jimmy Dore Show is coming to the Alberta Rose Theater November 12th. And we're going to Burbank, California, November 6th. And the Hollywood Improv on October 16th. There's a link for tickets right down there. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for all links for all shows.